Yeah.
So, how old are you, Aaron?
I am 19.
When's your birthday?
October 20th.
Tell us just a little bit about your home life and stuff, about growing up and where you are now, or who's walking up to you right now.
This is Xavier. This is my little brother. And he's walking away. Bye. That's my alarm.
Do you want me to get...
Yeah, just like unplug it from the thing.
Yeah, sure. Just keep talking.
Thanks. Alright, so I grew up in like Middle Eastern the Middle East. No, it's like I wouldn't say it's the Lower East Side of Erie. Shit, I was all over the place. Not a very stable kind of environment growing up. All over every other week or something. Something like that.
Where were some of the places that you lived growing up?
North Collins, New York. Mostly the Lower East Side of Erie. And then we moved to the West Side, and then I moved in with my dad. And stayed kind of the same, like 25th, East 25th Street. 25th and like German or something, I don't know.
Let's see. Now, how long have you been involved being an artist and such, like doing artwork? Any kind of art, music?
Any kind of art. Since I was a kid. A wee little lad. Like this one right here. What are you doing? I was always interested in it. Probably in the childish kind of way. But I kept going with it, like, a lot of people stopped doing it. But I got really involved in the technical aspect of it probably around early high school. And that's right around when I started music, too.
How did you, what were the first artistic things you did? Because I know you're a musician now, but did you start off doing drawing or, visual art first, or?
Yeah, definitely.
What was kind of the first stuff you did visually in visual arts?
First stuff I did. The first stuff I seriously, tried to do something with was probably, National Anti-Vivisection Society illustration for my commercial art class freshman year of high school. And that was because it was an assignment. But after they shut down the program, I kind of just went with it. And I mean, I don't know too much of anything else.
Now, you also play guitar. You're a musician. How did that get started? When did you start playing guitar and playing music?
My dad would probably tell you that he got me a guitar when I was 6 or something. But I didn't seriously start playing until it was probably 12, 13. And that was because I was a fat, nerdy white kid and I didn't have anything going for me. And I was like, man, if I play guitar, maybe girls will like me.
Now you talked a little about your dad, getting you into guitar and such. What was your dad a musician? Was he involved with music or art or anything?
Well, he's the rhythm guitarist of the Tradesmen, local band in Erie. And he's done that for I don't know, 10 years, something like that. My uncle was the bassist of that band, and that's probably what got me really involved in the scene.
What else did your dad do? What was your dad like? I met him a couple times. I've seen more of your mom and your dad.
You're fucking alchemy. Well, he would drink a lot, but he stopped that now, settling down a bit. That's cool. Man, I can't even really recall, honestly.
That's okay. Now, one of your first was Susan B. Anthony your first band you were in?
My first band that I played a show with. Before then, it was like Pi, like Present in Eternity. Yeah, I was one of those kids. But I was trying to put together a band for a long time, and it didn't even happen until like early high school.
Now, did you start playing music or want to get into music just because you wanted to pick up girls and stuff and for something to do, just kind of something to do? Or, like, what was your kind of drive to do music, I guess? What made you want to do it? So.
At first, that was my only motive. Not gonna lie.
It's all of our only motives.
All we want is chicks!
Basically.
But, like, I feel like that's how it always starts with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, man, I want girls to like me. And then you go through puberty, and then girls like you otherwise, and you're like, man, I kind of like this music thing. It's pretty great.
What kind of music did you want to play initially?
Initially, I kind of don't want to be like, oh yeah, Ozzy. You know, all that stuff.
So, like, a lot of like hard rock, kind of like classic rock kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
classic rock, definitely.
I think that's what we all started off with, though. That's what I was big into.
A weird combination of classic rock and then, like, new metal.
What did you grow up listening to?
I grew up listening to absolutely nothing until, mainly, like, whatever my mom was listening to on the radio, or blasting through the speakers and stuff.
When did you start listening, like, really, seriously start listening to music?
My dad had the Nirvana box set with the lights out, and that was, like, the only CD that I really had, so I just listened to that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I really passionately listened to something on my own.
Okay. And so, the first band you ever gigged with was Susan B. Anthony.
Yep.
How did you get involved with that? What was Susan B. Anthony like?
Well, Susan B. Anthony was a temperamental kind of band. I mean, rightfully so, because, you know, we're all young little kids.
How old
We don't
were
know
you-
what we're doing.
How old were you when you started playing in Susan B. Anthony?
Xavier. Okay. 14, I think.
14. So were you a sophomore or a
Late freshman.
freshman?
Yeah, late freshman year.
Late freshman. Where'd you go to high school?
It's kind of a big question, man. It's like, I went to Central for 2 years, and I was like, man, they cut the commercial art program. What am I going to do? Oh, that's right, I'll go to collegiate. Then I went to collegiate for 2 weeks, and it was horrible. It was the worst experience ever. And then I went to East High School for 2 years minus 2 weeks.
And so back to Susan B. Anthony. So like, how did you get involved with? How did you get in that band? Who started it, and like, how did you become to be a guitarist in that band?
Me and Marshawn Leger, we were good friends in middle school. We were trying to pull a band together. And I'd say that, like, he really started it because he went to collegiate and he found Nick and Mary and Riley. That was the lineup.
And you just decided, fuck, let's just do a band.
Pretty much.
What kind of music did you guys play? Like, what kind did you have in mind when you started playing?
One thing I remember saying was like, we could be like everybody else, or we could do our own thing, man. And then Nick was like, Prague, and I was like, no, and I was like, well, now I'm like, yeah, of course, Prague. Prague is everything. But, so I guess I really wanted to play Prague, but I didn't know what that was.
At the time?
Yeah, I was like, punk rock. Yeah.
So you wanted to play kind of like grungy punk rock, like what you were listening to, like Nirvana and kind of shit?
Yeah, but then I wanted to add some other elements to it.
Okay. What did the other band members want to play? Like, were they all kind of just agreeing on that whole just kind of grunge, kind of hard rock kind of stuff?
For the most part, like, we'd write something and then everybody would jam out to it. So
Who did most of the writing in Susan B. Anthony?
I'd say I did 80% of it.
80%. Did you write
The
the
riffs.
music or the words?
Not the words. The musically, yeah. I feel like I did 80%, but words, Mary did everything. Impressive lyricists, for sure.
What was how was like the relationships between everybody in the band?
Temperamental.
Temperamental.
It was.
How so?
At first, it was like a family, I guess you could say, and then towards the end of it, everybody just basically hated each other, except Zach and Riley and Nick and I. Maybe Mary was the
You can say whatever you want. This stuff isn't going to be posted publicly, at least for now.
Well, it was kind of bad. Like, I'm having a tough time remembering anything ever. It's all the drugs, man.
It's all the drugs.
All the drugs I'm doing. All the tea.
All the tea, Earl Grey. Susan B. Anthony eventually broke up. How long ago did Susan B. Anthony break up?
Was it 2 years or something?
2 years.
3 years.
I think it's probably 3 because
Yeah.
Teatime started 2 years ago.
It was like right before Teatime started.
Yeah.
Because it went Susan B. Anthony and then later coin.
Later coin.
The later coins.
So you stay good friends with Nick.
Yeah.
Talk about, tell me a little about you and Nick, your friendship with you and Nick, and like how you guys connect.
Nick is I. I am Nick. We are.
So you didn't meet Nick until Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah. Marshawn, Cloud, Neji, Hitsukana. I don't know what.
Japanese.
His name's gonna be something.
Who?
Marshawn Leger,
Marshawn Leger.
the original guitarist to Susan B. Anthony.
Were you the lead guitarist or the rhythm guitarist?
We tried to do a dual lead kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd say for the most part I was lead.
Okay. So then, what did you do like right after Susan B. Anthony? Like when you guys broke up, what did you get? Did you do anything musically right at like at?
Off the bat, no.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick and I would hang out and jam a bit. Like, man, we should start another band.
And then, you did ladder coins before Tea Time, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. What was the whole deal with the ladder coins?
Well, whenever Nick and I would jam, it would just be like garbage. It would we'd play whatever and just talk.
Yeah.
And our conversations are really kind of out there, weird, but not the esoteric kind of weird. More like a dog, yeah. More like a stupid kind of weird. And I feel like the band reflected that.
So you just did like comedy music and such?
Yeah.
Whatever kind of just came to head?
We read Shel Silverstein to instrumental garbage.
What did you play, like instrumental? What did you guys do?
He would play keyboard and I'd play guitar, and we would just talk into the microphone.
So it's kind of like experimental kind of comedy kind of stuff. Just whatever the fuck happens.
Pretty much.
And then after that, you got involved with my band Teatime for 3. And like, how did you get in? I obviously know how you did because I know how they got.
But
just,
for the archives.
just for archiving and shit. How did you kind of get phased into it?
Man. There was one show, and Eli he couldn't make it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I went next door to Paca and borrowed an acoustic guitar, and I was like, man, I don't want to pay for this show. I don't have any money. I am in Teatime, and then temporarily.
I remember you plugged into the acoustic guitar into a bass amp and played it, and it sounded really shitty, but like you just jammed with us. It was like I remember doing House of the Rising Sun with you and shit.
Man.
I also remember the one show we played in Zelian Opal.
Yeah, Zelian
That
Opal.
was a shitty gig. That was
It was a great venue.
Oh, it was a great venue, but there was like 5 people there, and we drove like 2 hours to get there.
Everybody that was in the audience was in another band.
Yeah. The thing that's funny though is that even though everyone in the audience was in their own band, the band with the every band member voted. The band with the most people in it won, and they had like 6 people, so they had like 6 votes. There were like 2 other bands with like 4 members, and somehow we got second place. So that means someone from another band voted for us. So that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
We didn't even hear the results though because we were next door eating pizza.
Worth it.
It was better than waiting for that. But you played keyboards for that, I remember.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like you initially were the keyboard player. Like that was what we originally had in mind, but it kind of just morphed into like everything.
My ideal band would be everybody has their own drum kit, keyboard, guitar, bass, and then some really obscure instrument that each one has one individual weird instrument that they play for their own personal sound. And
did you play with what was like your whole motive of just playing Teatime? Like did you have any ideas just to have fun or just
At first I was like, man, I really need to get back in the music scene. I don't have anything going for me right now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, I love you guys. So this is like a Bond type thing, a James Bond type thing.
How was your playing? What would you describe as your playing style at Teatime?
Anything goes, man. That's how I describe it. But
played lots of blues music, but we also did punk and grunge and stuff. And I remember there was the one.
It'd be like if you took your nice blue linens and you rolled them around in the dirt for a little while.
Your stage antics sometimes vary from time to time. Sometimes you're really freaking chill on stage and you're just playing there. And there's other times there was the one show where you and Nick just did a Nirvana song alone and you just went ape shit.
I feel like it has everything to do with things that are going on in my life at the time. It's like sometimes you need to let it all out, and other times you can just chill.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be like a front man. I don't know. I don't think I could do that every time. But
now, what would you say is the most important, I guess, aspect of being a performer on stage, interacting with the audience? Is it that the music's good, or that the audience is having a good time, or that you're having good? What do you think is really important about doing the show?
It's a combination of everything, really. If you have more of one, you can have less of another.
Yeah.
But I'd say the most important would be that you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're not having a good time, it shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then the audience is like, man, this guy, he's salty.
I think the cool thing that Teatime did and stuff that, you could tell other bands sometimes weren't doing. We'd play, the attendance of our shows would vary from, 60 people packing the walls of BT to, 5 people. So, there was no way of really predicting how big a show was going to be. But, every time we seemed, it just seemed like we were just there to have fun. I remember we used to only get the opening sets. And then there was one show we had for Alex Ferrilla where there was 2 people there, and we were an opening set, and we played one of our best shows for those 2 people, and that's where Alex was like, well, he's like, I have mad respect for you guys for not bailing out or being shitty about it. So that's when we started getting topper bill positions and eventually headlining some shows. And I think, for me at least as a performer, it's just about every time just giving it your all, not caring about who's out there, just being yourself.
Whether it's 1 or a million, you just...
Because there's some people that have a really shitty attitude. And
yeah.
They won't play shows.
They bail pretty easy.
Oh ho ho ho!
Shots fired.
Shots fired. No one's gonna hear those shots fired. Probably.
If a shot's fired in the middle of the woods and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Doesn't make a sound. And like I remember like that. I remember there was the one show we played over the summer. It was the hip hop rock show, and I actually had to convince Juice to play it because they were opening and they were bitchy about that.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
And honestly, if they probably would have bailed on it, things might have turned out pretty different for them because of their reputation from doing that.
They're really, really, really popular.
Yeah, they're really, really popular now. But
yeah,
I still consider I saved their ass. No, I'm just kidding. I saved your fucking asses. But it's just about like there's a lot of like what do you think about a lot of people in the scene like attacking each other and tearing each other down? A lot of people catfighting in the scene.
It's kind of funny. But on a serious note, it's like people really need to settle down. In general, like not even just in the scene, in the world.
Yeah.
People need to look and see that we're not all really all that different. There's some differences that make us not boring, but fundamentally we're people. And especially in the music scene, because we all have this common kind of following type thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're all part of this collective, this music. We all have the same interests for the most part. And when people tear each other up, that's just a civil war, man.
It just seems like there's a lot of people saying, well,
It's a lot of bullshit.
This is the way you have to do local music, or this is the way you have to do things, and if you don't do it that way, then you're a fake, or like, you know what I'm saying?
You're a sellout.
You're a sellout. And stuff. Like, there's just a lot of people, it just seems like if you don't fit a certain criteria, you almost get attacked when, like, you're all trying to do the same goal and such. Like, it's just been really weird because, for example, like, with everything with Bob and stuff, like, I'm just a huge supporter of Bob and stuff, and he's worked really hard and stuff to really build up the scene from what was at least the teenage music scene from what was nothing. I mean, there used to be like no.
There was like Forward Hall.
Yeah, and like
that's about it.
Then that went out. Then that closed down, and now Bob's trying to make it even bigger and stuff, and he's getting a lot of flack for that and stuff because he has a bigger place and stuff. So he has to charge more because he has to keep the place open and such because it's a bigger facility.
Yeah.
And there's just it just seems like there's a lot of division when I feel like everyone's trying to do the same goal. We're all just trying to make music. We're all just trying to make art. We shouldn't argue about it.
Yeah. It's horrible. I feel like it has something to do with the goals at hand. Like, some people are like, you should be having a good time. And then other people are like, you should be making good music. Like, I don't want to bring up any names or examples, but I feel like the punk rock and hardcore scene, they just have a good time.
Yeah.
And then more the organized and, like, very... I don't know how to put it. It's like, technically, on a technical level, they're really good. They're good.
Well, like...
That's, like, the metal. The metal is, like...
So, like, what would you say bands that, like... I mean, you can talk about this here. Like, what bands would you say are, like, would you say are, like, really good? Like, are doing something good locally?
Juice. Javon's pretty good. They have a plan to do some pretty bitchin' stuff. But it's looking kind of... I don't know.
Sloppy.
Not sloppy, it's very clean. It's like... They're just not in the right genre right now.
Yeah.
They're too metal, not enough other.
Yeah.
And, I'd say Barlow was doing pretty good for a while.
Barlow's kind of fizzled down.
Yeah.
There was that time where, like, they were really fucking good. The
start of the scene.
Yeah.
And Barlow just trickled out.
He got kicked out of it.
R.I.P. I heard about that. Oh, man.
Bob was pretty pissed about it.
It has to do with that attitude.
Yeah, like
You gotta have fun, man. That attitude.
yeah.
Have a good time. If you have a good time and you don't pay attention to other people, shit like that happens.
Yeah. Now you also do a lot of visual artwork, right?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you do, like visually art?
I'd really love to do some sculptural stuff, but right now I just do trippy, pseudo-realistic things. Like faces coming out of faces, coming out of faces, and you just keep going. And sometimes I try to put a message in my work, and all the time nobody sees it, so...
Do you just like to draw what you're seeing in your head? Like sometimes, like you're just drawing it. Like there's not any particular message or theme. You're just drawing it just for the fuck of it.
That's actually most of the time for me. It's really therapeutic. You just do. You just go with it.
What kind of visual artists are the artists that kind of have an inspiration on you, if any?
Stephen Gamble, Ron Muick, Choi Suong, and Bobby J. Yeah.
Do you want? So right now, you're a Gannon right now.
Yep, that is correct, Mr. Eyes.
Now you talked about possibly just leaving after the semester.
Yeah, definitely just leaving after the semester.
What's your whole view on like why? How is college for you?
Well, I'm not in a STEM field, so college is just a bad idea. It's like, if you're putting your basis in something subjective, you shouldn't be putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Like, if you're gonna do something science and there's something concrete after college, it's a good idea to do it, but with writing, you're just getting your technical skills honed, and then you're on your own pretty much. So I was like, maybe I should just do that in this lovely age of the internet, where I can learn and hone my skills on my own.
What do you want to do with your life? Like where do you see yourself being in like 10 years?
Arizona.
Arizona.
Ghostwriting in an alright, like, maybe 2-bedroom house.
So you want to be like you want to be a writer?
Yeah, I'd love to do that by trade, and then I'd do music and art.
What kind of writer would you like to be?
What I'd like to be, narrative stuff. I'd like to write some stories, but realistically speaking, whatever's available.
And what are you just doing now in your free time? Just you're in college, but what do you do? What else? What do you like to do in your free time?
Jack off. No. Those are things that people don't talk about normally. I do a lot of just bullshit, really. I sit around and I'm stagnating right now. What I'd like to be doing is focusing on art and writing and getting my shit together, but right now I'm just kind of bleh.
Do you use your person? Do you use my person?
I got a person.
Or do you want this person, the fat person?
I'll take the skinny guy. Skinny guys are cool.
You ableist.
I'm an ableist.
These guys are the enemy tonight.
Oh no. Oh.
Fat shaming.
Fat shaming. Oh, you're cutting them up, man. Oh.
Man, that's messed up.
That's pretty messed up. Now, you were working on that picture book with Alex Wilson for a while. Is that coming into?
That's still a thing.
Is that still a thing?
It's just, we're at the hump right now. We're trying to push it over, where we're like doing the technical footwork, but that's definitely, it's getting harder.
And what about, is that like the same way when it is with Mutt?
Yeah, it's just all really grating. like when you have an idea, you're like, yeah, that's a great idea, and then you start it, and then by the middle you're like, fuck.
What is your involvement with Mutt? Talk about that a little
I'm playing. What's his name?
bit.
I haven't read the script in a long time. I think we're gonna start filming again late spring.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm playing arguably the main character, some slightly schizophrenic kid out in Hicktown, Pennsylvania.
Good shit. And how'd you get involved with that?
Alex just asked me, like, because we were doing the bookwork together, we're pretty good friends.
Yeah.
So we just talk otherwise. Just shoot the shit, you know? And he brought that up, and I was like, yeah, sure, man, I'm down.
Alright, man, well, I think we got everything in here. I'm trying to do about 30 minutes per person, and I got about 30 minutes right now.
Jeez, it's been 30 minutes?
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Wow.
I'm concluding the interview now. It's been about 30 minutes now. And yeah, chill. Bye.
Well,